If you've recently started a small business and you're looking into ways through which to obtain small business financing, there are 4 things that you should watch out for as it pertains to legal and financial implications of the loans and financing that you may start to accrue. If you're unaware of the 4 details we'll be talking about in this video, they can really have a huge negative impact on not only your financial but also personal life moving forward as the business owner behind the business. So make sure you stay tuned. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Pamela Metani. I'm a business lawyer and the owner and founder of Graphene Business Law, a law firm offering services virtually and throughout the province of Ontario, Canada, to business owners and entrepreneurs. If you're new to this channel, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button down below. We regularly post content that is most relevant to individuals just like yourself, business owners and entrepreneurs, and we do so multiple times a week here on our YouTube channel. Now, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're going to be talking today about 4 things to look out for when obtaining business financing. As you can imagine, as a business owner myself of multiple businesses, but also as a lawyer that literally guides other business owners through all the legalities that come with running a business, including reviewing financial contracts and loan contracts and financing agreements. Well, I can assure you that we've seen the range of business owners benefiting through the intelligent employment of business loans, and also some small businesses getting completely wiped out because the business owners behind them were not sophisticated enough, educated enough, did not put in enough effort into understanding the consequences that come with obtaining a small business loan. So in this video, which of course is for educational purposes, we're going to be talking about the 4 biggest danger spots I found in obtaining loans for your small business. The first issue is going to be that while in most jurisdictions around the world that I'm aware of, individuals and corporations are separate legal entities. That is true. We have, seminal cases in law, at least in the Commonwealth jurisdictions, including, I believe, Solomon and Solomon dating back 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, stating that corporate identity is separate from that of the individuals operating the corporation. I get that, we get that, okay? But when we're obtaining financing, at the end of the day, the banks, they're using their brains a lot, and especially more and more as the borrower becomes more sophisticated, so does the lender have to become, to ensure that they're not just giving out these business loans that are never paid back. As a result of that, most business loans today from institutions such as banks, okay? I'm not talking about the terms of a loan being made between brother and sister or mother and son, okay? I'm talking about above table institutional loans. Even if the loan is for your small business, they will require a personal guarantee. Why? Because one too many borrowers got too clever with the, oh, my business is a separate entity clause. And obviously the bank suffered sufficiently that they decided to reword and redo those borrowing clauses within the small business financing packages that they offered. So now we're at a place where, even through my lived experience, it doesn't matter how successful a business is, right? You can be a celebrity and require a business loan. You can be Bill Gates and require a business loan, because getting a loan is a way, if done right, to access another entity's capital to grow your dreams, right? We're not talking here about junk loans meant to keep you alive and super high interest rates and all of that dark stuff of borrowing. I'm just talking in this video about conventional, dreamy-eyed entrepreneurs starting a new business, wanting a little bit of extra capital to give their business a boost. And again, the first danger you're going to want to look out for is that the banks will have you sign personal guarantee agreements and clauses as well. So it's not the case in terms of what that means for you in real life, that you can stack up all this debt on a corporate card, wrap up the company and say, oops, too bad. That's them, not me. Well, actually, it is you, because the banks are going to ask you to personally guarantee it, which means that you need to be as astute and as strict with the borrowings against the company as you would with your own personal borrowings, because it will impact you personally if you're not paying, if you're defaulting, if you get into any of that darker side of loans. The second thing you should know about business loans is that business loans always come with a higher interest rate than personal loans. You can imagine why. You need only refer to the first item we just discussed in this video, including the dangers that institutions face when lending to businesses, including your small business. No matter how much you believe in your small business, the statistics just don't back it up. The statistics indicate that almost all small businesses will fail, and definitely so by the first 10 years of business. They start falling off the wagon year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and by year 10, 75% of small businesses have not made it. They're done. The banks know that. So to better help themselves out, because let's say, in point 1, we discussed you personally guaranteeing a loan. Well, let's say things get bad enough for you, and I hope this never happens, but that not only can your business not carry a loan, but that personally you're no longer able to carry it as well, and you file for personal bankruptcy, for example. What is in it for the bank? What's in it is that another way they buffer their losses is that the whole time you've been their client, through the small business loan program, for example, they will have garnered a higher interest rate from you, and sometimes this can be much higher. For individual loans nowadays, assuming good credit, assuming all of that, we could even look, for example, at interest rates on mortgages. That is a very traditional kind of loan that an individual might take. They hover around 5 to 6 to 7%, depending on your credit score, financial institution, amortization period and all that. A rough range we're looking at is 5 to 7 in today's economy. It is not uncommon for business loans to start at the 15% mark and go to the 25% mark as a rough estimate. This rough estimate is colossal. It is destructive compared to that range of individual loans. But again, knowing very well that the data just doesn't support small business survival, the banks need to get something on the daily for themselves as well, and that's the interest that's accrued. On that more financial vein, the third thing you're going to want to look out for when applying for small business loans and filling out the forms and agreeing to small business loans is the repayment terms. Repayment terms can vary greatly, not only between institutions, but between applicants at the same institution. For example, some options we have for repayment terms are what's called a minimum payment term, where you only pay the interest on the loan amount you've taken out. This is hugely advantageous, again, if used correctly and not just to stack on a bunch of junk debt. It's hugely advantageous because that minimum term, as the name indicates, is going to be a little fraction of what you paying down the whole loan in chunks could be. Another option banks could give you for repayment is interest plus principal. This will often be multiple times the repayment of what interest alone is. However, the good thing of this is that you actually start working towards paying back some of the substantial funds you've accrued and not just interest, which goes 100% in the bank's pockets. Another kind of repayment term could be a fixed term that you and the bank have agreed to. So no matter, let's say a loan of $10,000, you pay back $500 a month or $750 a month until it's paid back. This choice is unique to you and your financial circumstances. However, generally, if you're given the choice and you have the financial means and knowledge and intelligence to navigate the loans, overall, it's not a bad idea to agree to simply minimum repayment terms, because if you do well, you can always pay more. But if you don't do too well, you can't renegotiate that term on the day you've defaulted on a payment and say, hey, can I lower this month? They're going to say, well, it's not what you agreed to. So maybe you agree to the lowest possible amount to give yourself some breathing room as a small business owner, and then you go on and you contribute more if you can. That's a safety net kind of thinking route that a lot of small business owners employ. The fourth thing you're going to want to look out for is that a lot of these institutions, when you are borrowing from them, are going to, unfortunately, if it's like your first day or week or month in business, they're going to want to look at some business history. So while it's super important for you to understand the first three factors we've discussed in this video and the severe financial consequences they can bear if not navigated correctly, It's also important to understand that sometimes just to get your foot through the door, some institutions are going to want to see some markers of success. I remember myself applying for small business loans for some of my businesses. I was really surprised to see that there are banks out there that give you funds right away. For example, if you're in Canada, there's a bank called Scotiabank, which I remember offered access to something called express funds. It wasn't the highest amount of loan that you could get approved for, but you could get approved for it right away based on your credit score as the individual behind the company. So there was no crazy questionnaires or forms or anything like that. However, there are also institutions in this same country, Canada, and obviously in the US and wherever else in the world you're watching this, that for whom the process looks different, the lending process. You're going to want to see, I remember there were business-specific organizations, lending organizations, that wanted to see 6 months of income. They wanted to see 12 months of income. Well, it's like if you just started business a few weeks ago, and it's totally not uncommon for business owners to want access to funds really early on in their business life, you're not going to have these things to show. So that's really important in terms of who you're getting in bed with. You should really research their lending criteria, or at least eligibility criteria, to be able to offer you a loan before you spend all that time and put all this information that can be so draining and exhausting emotionally as well, right? You're a human being that's constantly having to ask for money if you're applying for these business loans. And for some people, that process is super impersonal and they don't get impacted by it. But for some other people, that process can feel crushing. So make sure you know who you're talking to before you show up, and you understand if they would even lend to someone like you, whoever you are. And a good way to do that, of course, is look at the criteria on the institution's page itself. They're going to tell you, because they also don't want to waste their time. Let's say that they're looking for some institutions, I mean, they can set the metrics to whatever they'd like to, right? It's their money that they're lending out. Some institutions are going to want to see income, monthly income of $10,000 a month maintained over the course of the last 12 months, sorry. They don't want to waste their time talking to anybody that hasn't hit those metrics. You should also not want to waste your time talking to anybody that won't lend to somebody like you if those are not your metrics. So it goes both ways. I hope this video has been helpful. A lot of these lessons, have also been lived experience for myself as an entrepreneur and a business owner when I first started out. But now that I make a living in part owing to advising other clients, it is so interesting and so crucial to have a knowledge of different lending requirements and financial requirements, and have a little bit of financial savviness when it comes to running your business. Because as I mentioned in the beginning and the middle of this video, financial repercussions of not understanding at least these 4 points of business lending can have a wipeout effect on you personally if things get bad enough. And there's that saying that, of course, you never want things to get bad and you hope for the best, but you need to prepare for the worst. And if there's any arena in which that's true, it is small business ownership. For those of you that watch this video, let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you have had difficulty with any of these requirements with banks, if any frustrating experiences you've come across, or also if you're watching this video and you've had a really good experience with a bank or a financial institution. Let others know in the comments down below as well, because I'm sure they could benefit tremendously through navigating those complicated complicated lending waters. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and click on the subscribe button down below. Research and time and effort and a lot of love goes into making these videos, because we do want to help here at Graphene Business Law. We see mistakes all the time. We also see amazing success stories all the time. And there's no reason that you can't be that next success story. And hopefully these educational videos are just a small little part of your success. Thanks again for watching.